I cannot believe I am saying this, but I have just bought myself a Lamborghini Huracan, but not any Lamborghini Huracan, probably one of the worst ones in the world. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to buy this crashed Lamborghini Huracan from Matt Armstrong because he decided he wasn't going to fix it himself. Now, these pictures here were taken not long after the crash happened. Now, unfortunately, the car looks nothing like this now, but we worked out the car's never had an MOT, so we think it's actually been stored in a shed for maybe 7 or 8 years. If it's a 2014, we're assuming what, it crashed after a year?
Yeah.
So 2 at the max?
So it could be like, 7 or 8 years it's not started, so the fuel could be terrible.
That feels bad.
It could be terrible, couldn't it?
It smells nice.
Yeah, it does.
That would certainly explain why the picture quality is so bad. But the big problem I have is that over the years, the original owner has decided to strip many of the parts off the car for whatever reason. And this is how it actually looks today. So we can see from the photos that the wheels have been removed, the rear quarter panel, the rear bumper, the rear lights, the front tub. So many parts have been removed that are going to be so expensive to repair. So I said, look, Matt, it's a massive risk. I want to buy the car, but it's on one condition. The engine has to run.
Dean's going to do the honours because if it breaks, he has to pay for it. Perfect.
Matt's just bypassing the pyro fuse here, which would normally stop the car from starting because it's been in an accident. But even after doing that, it still wouldn't start. We then decided to get the computer involved and clear some of the codes, and hey presto.
Yeah! Oh, it sounds sweet.
You've just brought a Lamborghini Huracan.
So now he's working on his favourite Audi because he's just bought one. That sounded sick.
Audi Huracan, we'll have it.
That sounded really good.
This is a good car.
That's fine.
This is good. It's a good
I'll
automobile.
keep telling myself it.
This is going to give you like 3 years of content.
And nightmares. So that makes this car here the biggest challenge I have ever done. Not only that, but it's also the most expensive challenge I've ever done. It's going to be the most expensive to repair that I've ever done, and the list will go on. This is one massive, massive project. Now I'm just going to quickly walk you around this and tell you exactly why this is going to be ridiculously expensive. Ceramic disc, 3 grand. I mean, these are second-hand prices as well, by the way. If that was new, it'd be 6 or 7 grand. Frame repair. Unknown at the minute, probably quite a lot. Quarter panel, 5 grand. Door, 2 grand. Side skirt, 2 grand. I think this is our only ceramic disc we don't need. So obviously another 2 ceramic discs on the other side, another 3 grand each. Headlights, 2 grand each. Front wing, 1,500, 2,000 pound. Front bumper, 3,000 pound. Tub, I don't even know. Wipers, scuttle panel, I don't even know. See, this is the problem I've got. So much stuff on this car is missing, been removed, and I don't have any of it. And I always said to myself, I would never buy a car that someone else has previously stripped because you are just in a complete unknown world. But I guess all it took was someone to waft Lamborghini under my nose. And apparently all that's gone out the window. Other front wing, 2,000 pound. Another door, 2,000 pound. Another side skirt, 2,000 pounds. Ceramic disc, we've just done that. Exhaust, 1,000 pound. Rear bumper, 3,000 pounds. Rear lights, 1,000 pounds each. So you can kind of get the idea of how ridiculous, and actually it probably doesn't make sense to rebuild this car. We haven't even got to the interior yet. It is also a complete mess. Both seat airbags have gone, steering wheel airbag, dash. The whole interior has been stripped for some reason as well. We've got trims missing, glove box missing, you name it, all missing again. So what price do we put on the interior? 7,000, 8,000 pounds? I don't even really know. And then we've got stuff like suspension. We have this wishbone at the bottom broken. To give you an idea, look, this just little link piece here that goes from here just to the hub, £600 from a dealer. Just that one little part there. So I'm building up a picture here of how ridiculous this build is going to be. And that's why I'm going to need your help. Because to be able to afford to pay for all the parts on that Huracan, I need to unfortunately sell my Defender that I just recently rebuilt. And that is where you guys can come in, because this Defender is now on Compete for Cars. You can win this car for just £1.99. I've left the link in my description, so go grab your tickets, guys, and one of you is going to win this for just a couple of quid. And the mad thing is, the value of this very expensive car will not even cover the cost of the parts to repair the Huracan. How mad does that sound? But I've left the link in the description. One of you will win this epic Defender. And yeah, good luck. But onto the Huracan, and where do we even start to begin repairing this? Now, as you can probably see, it is completely stuck on the trailer, so that should be objective numero uno. I'm going to try and split this up into boxes, like chunks of how to repair this thing, because if I just think about the whole picture too much, I get a bit overwhelmed and I'm like, I don't know where to start. I just don't want to start. So I think we're going to compartmentalize this and check it off into boxes. And I think the first thing we need to do is try and get the suspension to a point where we can put wheels on it and drive it off the trailer. So I'm going to forget everything else and just concentrate on that to start. So as we can see, it actually has no wheels whatsoever, and it's kind of just sat on the trailer on a load of tires. I believe that this corner here is the only corner that isn't damaged. I don't even know, but I think it's okay. I think we can just stick a wheel on that and it's okay. But the other three corners all need repair before we can get it off the trailer. Now, if we look at this, ceramic disc, obviously broken. We have that same part on this side broken as that £500 part on the other side. We've got the frame completely ripped off here, which I'm gonna have to try and just push back in and hold it in there somehow just so we can get it off the trailer. Our lower wishbone is bent, snapped in there as well. Drive shaft also snapped and hanging out. Suspension strut bent, but I think we may be able to just bend it back just enough to be able to get it off the trailer and rolling. So that should be that side. This side, similar but not quite as bad. It's just got a bent wishbone and that snapped arm there. I think the rest is okay. And obviously it needs a disc and a wheel. And this other corner here, we are just quite badly bent. So the wishbone at the bottom, look, is bent right up. And also the steering arm tie rod is bent like a banana as well. So all that needs addressing before we can get the car off the trailer. But there is one way that we can save some money on the suspension. Now, although this is a Lamborghini Huracan, it shares most of its suspension parts with the Audi R8. So I didn't think I'd be saying, I'm going to search for Audi R8 parts to save some money. But here we are. Because if you look here, look, there are Audi badges all over this car. So not only are Audi R8 parts cheaper, they are also more readily available secondhand. And I managed to go on ASM Auto's website and find a complete near side rear hub and a drive shaft and a caliper and a disc for the R8. However, we all know it will fit the Huracan too. So the near side rear is where this project will begin. Now, this doesn't actually look too bad. Most of the suspension, top and bottom, is bolted just straight to the chassis. Also, our brake pipe's already been ripped off the caliper as well, so we don't need to undo that. There's a few bits of ABS wiring we need to undo, but other than that, it's just straight 8 bolts and the whole thing will come off. There's also a bolt for the strut as well and the anti-roll bar, but that's already broken as well. We've just got the 6 bolts to the drive shaft and we can pull that out too. So with this hub now removed, we can see a little bit more the extent of the damage, and just look at this crack at the bottom of the frame. It actually goes all the way up to the top of that section there. So that really isn't good. If that wasn't bad enough, that's not good either. So major repair work, or even maybe a whole new rear subframe needs to go on this. But for now, I've got my new hub here and my new drive shaft. We're going to stick all those on. I do have a set of wheels that I've bought for the car as well. So we're going to get that on, or reveal those, get this near side front on as well, and then we'll move our way round to the other side. And refitting was the opposite of removal, although it was a little bit more difficult because our suspension strut was bent at the bottom. It was a lot more difficult to get that into the new wheel bearing housing, so that was really fiddly. Needed a hammer, needed a screwdriver, but the others went on absolutely fine as well, including my track rod. The only thing I found is I wasn't going to put that chassis piece back in because I thought it'd be okay, but as you can see there, look, there's just too much free play for it, so I had to then pull it all the way back out again, put that chassis cut back in there so it fit nice and snug, and then get a bolt back in there just so it holds it rigid. Then I fitted the ceramic disc, which acts as a wheel spacer between the hub and the wheel to give us the correct fitment. And these are the set of alloys I've chosen for the car. I've just gone for some standard 19-inch Huracan genuine alloys in black. Because with this little bit of chassis missing completely here, when the wishbone was just flapping around and I was putting a bit of weight on it, it was just pushing right in towards the engine, which was no good, and it would put the wheel completely off balance. So I thought, well, if I try and wedge the old bit in here, and at least then, look, it's now, I've got one bolt in it, look, and it's now kind of just like wedged itself back into place like a bit of a puzzle. Although it's not secure, it is now pretty solid, so we can get the wheel back on and it should sit pretty much okay. We have one corner on at least, and I think we're all good. So this corner should now be pretty much good enough for it to just drive straight off the trailer. So one down, 3 to go. At the beginning of the video, we said we didn't think the car had run for 7 or 8 years. Now, we got this information by putting the car's details into CarVertical. And as you can see, look, the last 9 mileage was at 7 miles, indicating it's never had an MOT. And the plate change was back to its original plate roughly a year after it was new. So that's why we think it hasn't run for that amount of time. But obviously we know my one's damaged. I bought it like this. But if you're going to view a Lamborghini Huracan, you wouldn't expect it to be a previous Category S write-off. Now, if I bring up this Lamborghini report here, we can see a dashboard from CarVertical, and it gives you an overview of the complete car's history. Now, if we see here, look, odometer and financial are good, green ticks, but on damage, it says needs attention. So if we click on it and have a look, beware, this vehicle was marked as damaged, and we can see, look, in June 2020, it was actually recorded as a Category S write-off. And if we scroll up a little bit, we can actually see the pictures of where it was for sale before the crash. But then in 2021, look, we can see here the pictures of where it was involved in a crash, and mainly on the offside rear. Now, if you did know about it, at least you know where to look for the damage. But if you want to do your CarVertical check, guys, before you buy any car, just to look at the history, that's how I found out that this car hadn't been run for so long from the MOTs. You want to click the link in my description and use my discount code. I'll put it on the screen there now. And a massive thanks to CarVertical for sponsoring this video, because it enables me to do mental builds like this. Right, so I've just found a big problem on this side. Now, if you look at the drive shaft there, look, if you just watch the stickers on the top. So obviously when I turn the drive shaft here, everything should turn. So if I just turn it, you can see how I'm turning the drive shaft this end, but notice how it's not moving on the inside. That means it looks like we've snapped our drive shaft, this side. Removing the side was pretty much identical to the near side rear, only real difference being that my brake line was still attached to the brake caliper, so I needed to remove the whole caliper to be able to remove the complete hub. Now, I need to remove the wheel bearing from this one because my new hub on this side didn't come with a wheel bearing, and it's quite tight to remove. So I employed my genius. I strapped the hub to the trailer and managed to undo the bolts, and they came out pretty well, to be fair. One of the easiest wheel bearings I've removed. So with the bearing now off, it sounds pretty good. It doesn't sound rough, it's nice and smooth. It's got a part ceramic disc still on it, so I'm going to stick this back onto the new one. Just obviously we need it for our drive shaft so we can drive the car off. And obviously we need a ceramic disc here which acts as a spacer so the wheel sits on in the correct position. So clean this back up, all looking good, so we'll stick this on the new hub. Right, so I'm going to have to take this into the workshop to try and fix this, because that ain't no good for anyone. So obviously you shouldn't be able to do that with the drive shaft. It should all turn as one. So we need to take this boot off. And there we go, look. All our ball bearings. There we go. Oh no, it's actually broken. Oh no, yeah, it's proper knackered. There you go. Oh, there's a bearing. Wait, oh, there goes another one. So if you can see in there, look, the ball casing, the ball bearing casing is snapped, has snapped, and there's some of it there along with a couple of ball bearings. So there's nothing I'm going to be able to do now here to fix that. That is, yeah, done for. So new drive shaft, 1,100 quid. So I'm going to see if I can find a second-hand one from somewhere. Now, I'm obviously not going to spend £1,100 on a new drive shaft. The only one I can find second-hand still want £500, which is still too much money. I can actually get this repaired quite easily for around about £100, which is the option I'll do. However, it will take a few days, and it just means that we won't get it back in time to be able to drive it off in today's video. Now, if you look here, we've got a lot of play in the wheel bearing, and that is because we don't have our drive shaft in. The drive shaft kind of compresses the wheel bearing all together with the drive shaft coming through in this way and then the bolt going through here. It clamps it all together and it keeps it all nice and tight. But because we don't have the drive shaft in, there's a lot of play, and if we move the car too much like this, it's going to put a lot of weight on that wheel bearing and probably break it. So I may try and see if we can get the outer CV joint and just clamp it all back together. Now, it would have made sense to use the outer CV joint of the drive shaft I've already removed, but because I want to get that one repaired, I don't want to mess around with it too much. So I thought the best thing to do, the CV joint has already ripped out this drive shaft, which I'm not going to use because I've already got a new one. So let's use the CV joint from this. God, how tight is this? This is ridiculous. God. Right, the big guns are out. I've got me a lever bar. Now you're going to undo. My snap-on half-inch breaker bar has just snapped, and I've also just bent my snap-on screwdriver. Considering I've broken all my tools, I ended up getting the CV joint off the other drive shaft in the end, so I'll stick that in instead. And there we go, look, wheel bearing, apart from the sideways movement, but it's a lot more sturdy now. All good. And the sideways movement is because I don't have the rear track cord on this side. There is none second-hand available, and also they're on back order from new. Now we're on to the last corner, and if I'm honest, it's getting a little bit repetitive now. It's the same deal. The bolts, lower, top, both go to the chassis. The only real difference on this is because it's a steering arm, we have a steering arm that goes to the hub too. Now, mine was bent like a banana. I do have a new tie rod. That was really easy to change. Just need to take the boot off, take the joint off the hub, undo the inner tie rod from the steering rack, put the new one on. I can't set it up yet, but I can get it roughly so it's pointing in the right direction, so it'll roll off the trailer. Four wheels on. Let's get it on the ground. See if she rolls off. Right, I suppose we better start removing some of the mess that's inside here, and I still don't know why any of this has been stripped, but I'm guessing that's where our multimedia unit goes in the back there. I'm guessing that's the panel that sits above it, or maybe below it. Some other trim, window trim. Guessing, oh, Alcantara, side trim. Right, let's do this. I don't know how I'm going to roll it off the trailer yet, because it might free roll. I think I'm just going to try and pull it off, because I don't have any brakes obviously, and it shouldn't be that heavy. So as long as it keeps fairly straight, which it's not doing, stop. Right, this is not ideal. Ready? Right, let's turn the steering a little bit. Oh no! Your spare wheel's in the way. Oh, I thought it was going to fall off then. Right. Come on. Come on. Come on. No, stop, stop, stop. Oh God, it's not gonna stop. Stopped. It's off. Whew. Right after that very nervous moment, I thought I was gonna be the second person to crash this Lamborghini. I have just fitted a brand new battery. I have the keys in my pocket. It works. If I had any indicators at all, I'm sure they'd be flashing right now, but the door handles are out. That's good enough for me. Let's jump in. Woo, fuel pump primed. And we can have a look at the interior a little bit better. So, bit of damage on my center armrest, not happy about. Just parts for some reason pulled out everywhere. We can see that 7,100 miles the car has done. And if we just turn the ignition on, and there we go, look, there's our dash clocks. Everything seems to be good here. Battery voltage, good, bit 12 over volts. So it is going to start. Now, I don't know whether this is just a bit of a gimmick or not, because you can just press it through there if you want, but we're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for a start. Obviously, what's that noise? It's my windscreen wipers. I'm sure it is. I don't know how to stop them. That's an annoying noise, look. Very annoying. Oh, I've disconnected the... I'm gonna have to connect my airbag back up just to stop them. Bloody hell. Yeah, well that's very annoying. As soon as you connect the airbag back up, the wiper arms stop. But as soon as you disconnect it, I think it just defaults to just working. I guess that's a fail safe just in case they do fail, at least they're on. But it's just very annoying. So I'm gonna have to keep my airbags. I don't really want it there. I'm just gonna have to deal with the wiper arms going off. Can't be dealing with that in a way. I don't know, I'm feeling it. Right, let's go for a start. There she is. I don't think it's gonna drive though. How do you do windows? How do you do reverse? Park. Oh, it won't go into gear either. Oh well, it runs. So it's off the trailer, it starts, it runs, it sounds epic, but it didn't go into drive or reverse, so I wouldn't have been able to drive it off the trailer anyway. But that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. In the next video, I'm going to give you a total breakdown cost of how much I've spent so far and what I paid for the car. So make sure you do hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one, where I don't even know, we're going to do something else. There's a lot of stuff to do. Cheers, guys.